Yeah, bring it on, bring it on. Gotta get down and I flip it with my man and do it for the intro and my man Barry's hamming. Loose with the beats cause Spec is the man. Bobby hooked the rhythm so you know it just hang. 1, 2, Trey, the highlight of the day.
Did I wake you too sudden, baby? Did I take you out of your slumber?
Good morning! Good morning, good morning, good morning. And welcome to the hottest morning show in the world. And if that didn't wake you up, then you're not alive. Just letting you know.
Did I disturb your sweetest dreams? It's just a lover's scheme. I just had to do it.
All right, so you don't know about me and you want to come in and ask me about me and you didn't know beforehand? Let me see, where do I start? I was born a middle-class black child in the suburbs of New Jersey. I have 2 parents. I've had them my entire life. They're still living. They're still married. They'll be married 40 years in September. 40 years. And I'm not 40, so that means they had me after they were married. You know what I'm saying? Not that there's anything wrong with out of wedlock births. I'm just saying I'm not. I have a brother, and together we form a 4-unit family. That's basically it. I was educated at the finest schools. I went to Catholic schools my entire life. Graduated from a Catholic high school. Went to a university in New Jersey. Well, by accident, actually. I was selling dictionaries door to door one summer. Funk and Wagnall. It's a very, very difficult job. And it was raining and we had no umbrellas. So I'm carrying these dictionaries, going door to door, trying to sell them. And it was raining. And I said, yeah, there are better things out there for me. So I came home, looked in a newspaper, my local paper, and there was a job opening at something called the News Record, which was a weekly newspaper in South Orange. And I went to interview, and there were 2 positions open. One was for a reporter, and the other was for a sports editor. And I had no experience in either, but the sports editor's job paid $15 more a week. And the editor didn't care that I didn't know anything, so she offered me the job, and I took it. And that started my journalism career. So I stayed at this news record as a sports editor for about 3 months and got hired at the Star-Ledger, which is the #1 paper in New Jersey. And I worked there for 9 months until I got fired. That was very fun. Came in one day to log on, and I couldn't log on. I was on vacation, actually. I was interviewing at the Daily News at the time. And apparently someone at the Daily News used to work at the Star-Ledger, and they told my boss that I was interviewing, and they had just promoted me, and I was in charge of all female sports in the state of New Jersey. And I guess they didn't want me to screw them, so they screwed me first. And so I was out of work for about 2 weeks. The Daily News finally called me, and I worked there as a sports writer for about 3 years, and then I started covering other things like crime. I think one of the first stories I did was this little boy got stuffed in a trash compactor in Brooklyn, a little 4-year-old boy. And the craziness of the story, his mother was 18 and she had 4 kids. He was the first. She gave him up for adoption to her aunt, who was a transsexual. She actually had a sex change. And she and her lover got into a fight, a man. And in the fight, he snatched the little boy and killed him to get back at her. So that was one of the first stories that I covered on as a reporter. And I also covered the plane crash in 91 in JFK. And I covered Saul Walkler's whole scandal. And I started doing some sports-related news stories, like Michael Jordan's father. When he was killed, they sent me to North Carolina for that. And when Arthur Ashe died, I covered his funeral. So I really got entrenched in the whole news covering business. And from there, I started covering business when the paper went bankrupt and it was sold to Mort Zuckerman. And Mort Zuckerman bought the paper, and then all these new editors came in, and I got put into business. So I covered business for a couple of years, did pieces on Russell Simmons and FUBU, and did a whole lot of, urban business stories, which was really fun. And from there, I was selected on the editorial board of the Daily News, which was great. Great experience.
Okay, so
Won a Pulitzer Prize there, by the way. Nice time. No, for real. No, really.
WWRL.
WWRL, you know what, Dawood? In life, you have these things that happen to you that just make no sense whatsoever. Sometimes there's something called divine providence. And I'm on WWRL because of divine providence. Rennie Bishop claims that he read my columns, but I have yet to see Rennie Bishop read a newspaper since I've been here. So I'm really suspect. Someone must have tipped him off and said, this woman's really, her columns are provocative. Now, mind you, I haven't really written too many provocative columns in the Daily News, except for recently since I started working on WWRL, because I'm finding my voice. And so he asked me to fill in, I think Shmuley Boteach was on at the time. He was doing a morning show. And but then he didn't want me to fill in with Shmuley, so I filled in for Felipe Luciano, who went on vacation, and I sat with Shia Hecht in the afternoons, and we had a great time. Great time. So then I sat in the following week with Shmuley, and we didn't have a great time. Not a great time. Not a great time for Shmuley. So I had fun. But I guess I impressed the people, the powers that be, enough for them to want to bring me on in the morning, but I couldn't really work with Shmuley. Actually, he didn't want to work with me, so now he's not here, and Shia Hecht is. So there you have it. That's the story. That's how that happened. And I'm permanent, I guess, until they decide to bring in somebody else. I don't know what's going to happen. There's no editing here. It's almost a very nervous situation because when I say something, and I'm not one to necessarily edit myself verbally anyway, my personality is such that I tend to say what's on my mind. You can't bring it back on radio. Writing, you can sit there and say, I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable saying that, and you go back and you fix it and you change it and you edit and you switch things around and you make it more, melodious sounding, and, you can do things with the... Here, it is what it is. You can look up stuff in a dictionary when you're writing. You can go through the thesaurus and, really do things. Here, if you don't know the word, you don't know the word. That's why we come up with these different words on this show, because we make up words every day. We don't know what the hell we're talking about half the time, and you can't bring it back. So all you can do is tomorrow hope that you can cover up for what you said yesterday and hope that it's okay. But it's very, you're almost naked on radio, which you don't have any cover. So that's the difference, and it's way more demanding in terms of having to know things. If I'm writing a column, I can call the library at the Daily News and they can research a fact for me, and I can have it in time to write my column. I can, go online and do research. Here, if a caller has a question, if I don't know it or if Shia doesn't know it, well, he tries to make up the answers. I generally say I don't know. And if Jeff doesn't get here quick enough, our producer, then you're not really, at the top of your game. You're not as sharp as you would look in a newspaper. So that's another thing. But, my ego, I think, can handle that. Yeah.
Karen Hunter is a beautiful, beautiful reporter for the Daily News.
Yes.
I'm crazy about her. I pick her, and I have a niece by marriage, Christina Coleman, that I never use.
I don't actually even put them in the same category. When I teach at Hunter College, to me, it's more of a public service. It's more of an opportunity to give back all of the blessings I've gotten over the last 15 years working in newspapers and working now on the radio. So I don't even necessarily incorporate the two. They're separate entities. What I do in the classroom is basically I try to provide a foundation for young people to go out, and if they want to get a job in newspapers or magazines or radio or television, they at least have the skill sets to go out and do that. Here, this is more social information. Social, this is almost like a movement. The radio is like a movement. I don't carry my politics into the classroom. At least I try not to, because I think that, particularly since the majority of the students that I have are not necessarily African American, so I don't try to bring that into a classroom setting. I try to be really, really objective, and I try to, teach across the board to a broader spectrum. Here, I rely on my own opinion, where I'm coming from. This is all about me during these 4 hours and where, what my views are. And I'm not necessarily, because I have a partner, we're bouncing off of one another. Classroom is like, here's the information, feedback, here's the information, here's why that's wrong, let's fix this. It's more technical, not as spiritual. This is a spiritual movement.